Tonight, an update on the evacuation order in Badger caused by rising water levels. That story and
CBC has obtained documents showing drastic disrepair at the NL Youth Center in Whitburn.
And for some kids, it feels like survival, right? So it's very concerning.
I'm Abby Cole, and I'll have that story coming up.
You'd never tell from the outside, but there's a great, fabulous gym behind me where a family of power lifters work out up to 7 days a week.
It makes you feel really good and really strong.
I'll introduce you to the Lee family. That's tonight.
This is CBC Here and Now.
welcome to Here and Now. Well, mice, mold, toilets that won't flush, these are all issues at the Youth Detention Center in Whitburn. A recent accessed information request reveals inmates' concerns over crumbling infrastructure as the center reaches capacity. The CBC's Abby Cole has the story.
The Newfoundland and Labrador Youth Center houses young people serving time or awaiting trial. But the documents show that it's at capacity and is falling apart. And some youth don't feel safe. There were 6 units here, but 3 of them are out of commission. Those units haven't been maintained in years and are unlivable. Now, experts say youth crime is on the rise, and the remaining units are getting full. But the conditions inside aren't good either. Inspection reports, work call orders, and meeting minutes reveal the disrepair. One person said it looks like something is growing on the wall. Meeting minutes from last September reveal leaks, broken locks and doors, dangling electric cords, poor ventilation, broken security cameras, and a fly infestation. And inspection reports describe the leaks as persistent. Emails also show complaints from counselors and Justice Department officials, including mold, mice, and broken ceilings. Youth residents are telling counselors they don't feel safe, and emails say 2 have pursued legal action. Emails show that staff had to bring in buckets to Unit 3 to use the bathroom. Now, the department has started looking into repairing a decommissioned unit. Adrienne Peters studies youth criminalization in Canada. She has tried to study the NL Youth Center, but the Justice Department has kept the door closed shut. She says what these documents show is shocking, but not unexpected.
These are kids. These are really young people who we're now seeing this uptick also in certain types of activities and engagement in certain types of offending among young people, and that is going up. And it's, again, across the country, so it's not only in Newfoundland and Labrador. But what's concerning is the environments that they're then expected to spend time in. Also, the fact that they're just being removed from their community in the first place is so detrimental. But then to go into an environment like that, where you're already in a high stress situation, and then you're trying to manage everyday, yes, like you said, safety. And for some kids, it feels like survival, right? So it's very concerning because it is the age of the people. I mean, it's awful enough at HMP. I don't think the public or our communities really understand or take the time to think about how bad it is in there.
Peters says fixing the problem will mean taking a step back and thinking about the current structure of the institution.
So much of this is on understanding social issues and then understanding what supports we need for that. So again, community-based supports, therapeutic environments, and that requires funding and time to think about it.
Peters says the government needs to remember the conditions at HMP and remember the long-term costs of not doing something sooner. CBC asked the Justice Department for a comment, but has not yet received a statement. Abby Cole, CBC News, Whitburn.
Well, this is a time lapse of the ice buildup on the Exploits River over the past week or so. You can see the pole in the foreground just disappearing. Rising water levels have put the community of Badger on edge. The town's mayor says some households have been evacuated and officials are keeping a close eye on the river.
Situation is improving to the extent that the latest projection we got from water resources within the province is that the water levels have decreased, but they're still at concerning levels. A few nights ago, they rose to the point where they were overflowing the banks. So when they overflow the banks, obviously they come into town limits. They were flowing up streets, forced us to evacuate 4 families in the greatest risk areas. So the water has since receded from Monday evening, but not to the extent where we feel comfortable. It's definitely in the back of everyone's mind. So it's 22 years this month. So back in 2003 is when we had, what the government would call a 1 in 100 year flood. But the ice formation, the river backing up, that isn't new. Like, this is a yearly occurrence for us. But to the extent of this year and us having to involve the fire department, to have them on standby, to be in closer contact with emergency services, water management, to have a formal river watch where we have individuals patrolling and monitoring the river all night long, that's unique this year compared to previous years. Now, we've had it in past years as well, maybe 6 or 7 years ago. So individuals are used to and aware of the river. But this time around, and knowing what happened in 2003, some individuals are being proactive with regards to moving some of their personal property to safer areas in town. Because if it ever gets to the point that it did in 2003, then obviously the risk of damage and loss and monetary value, all of that kind of stuff is lower. So, we're trying to mitigate all the risks we can beforehand, trying to be proactive. I've said in previous interviews that, we plan for the worst, hope for the best. Where we fall in between that, we'll deal with it in the moment.
Well, a Memorial University history professor is breathing a sigh of relief following the province's decision to pause changes to the junior high school curriculum. Those would have allowed students to opt out of several subjects, including social studies. Jenna Head has more.
Sébastien Rossignol was concerned about the removal of history in schools even before the province's proposed changes. Rossignol believes learning history is more important now than ever, with tensions high between Canada and the United States.
People talking about concepts like fascism, imperialism, nationalism, all of these very big, important topics that are being talked about on the news, all of them having some very important historical background and significance, and we kind of believe that we need more to just read a Wikipedia article to understand that, and that it should start in the school.
Rossignol says history never completely repeats itself, but it's good to be informed.
I believe that studying the distant or the recent past helps us reflect on what we do, what we think, how we behave, and what we can do about it.
History, like what's learned in schools, also affects the way we talk about current events, according to Rossignol.
I think if we want to have meaningful conversations, we cannot have them in some kind of void. Okay, we need to have some kind of informed conversation. Some basic knowledge in the school is usually the best place for people to learn some basic understanding of historical developments.
One grade 9 student said in some cases the information around that historical development could use an update, but she is happy to see the pause on curriculum changes.
I don't think that just changing how much time subjects get is going to make students more engaged. I think one of the things that they should do is changing how it's taught to maybe make it feel more relevant to students, and also changing some of the information that's taught, since I know a lot of the curriculums and these subjects that are taught are quite old.
But despite that, Carr says social studies help students learn about other cultures.
My background, my family are from Poland and the US, and I love learning about their culture and my culture.
CBC News has asked the Department of Education for an interview. They did not get back to us by airtime. In the meantime, the province has extended the window for feedback on curriculum changes until March 21st. Jenna Head, CBC News, St. John's.
Well, the Paradise Town Hall and Depot will remain closed for several months after a recent fire in the building. The town has temporarily halted in-person services at the facility while it's moving staff to the Paradise Double Ice Complex. The town has replaced some of its sidewalk clearing equipment with the help of neighboring municipalities, but residents are advised there will be delays. However, garbage collection, snow clearing roads, and water testing are not affected. A fire broke out in the depot on February 9th. The fire is believed to have started in a truck. Belle Island residents saw major disruptions to their ferry service over the weekend and into this week. Both ferries that service the island, the MV Flanders and the MV Beaumont Hamel, were tied up earlier this week to undergo repairs. Storm surges over the weekend had already caused delays. While the Flanders was back on the water today, Wabana's mayor says when both ferries are out of commission, it's a major concern for residents.
They can't get back and forth to their daily jobs. They can't get to school, university, or the medical appointments. It's becoming a huge inconvenience. They're gone days and stranded days and days away from their loved ones and their family, and it's becoming, it's a huge inconvenience and it's frustration. That's our roadway. That's our way of life, and without a ferry here, we're isolated.
Well, now to the West Coast, where one family has found joy in spending time together at the gym. For the Lee family, squatting, lifting, and cheering each other on has come to mean quality time. And now all the hard work is about to be rewarded. Colleen Connors reports.
This is the Powerhouse Lee family. Mom Bonnie and her 3 children, Becky, Gigi, and Omar. And they share a rather unusual hobby, powerlifting. This is pretty new for the family. About a year ago, they started going to this small gym in Stephenville and joined the Bay St. George Powerlifting Club to improve their fitness. Their first competition got them hooked. Now they train 5 days a week.
It's so fun. You're basically competing against yourself and with a team. You travel together and just getting better every time, trying to beat your own score, and sometimes you bring home the gold.
Bonnie and her oldest daughter joined first and fell in love with the sport fast. For Rebecca, who's always felt shy, powerlifting has been a huge confidence builder. The 2 younger siblings joined the club's youth program shortly after.
It's really nice to see everyone improving as a whole, and everyone kind of just supports each other. And it's really nice to not only see myself improve, but also see my family improve.
Well, it makes me feel really good and really strong, and I like to win gold at competitions.
And this 11-year-old makes deadlifts look effortless. The family got so good, so fast, that they qualified for a national powerlifting competition in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, starting February 23rd.
It's pretty exciting. I don't know if there's ever been 4 people travel as a family to a competition like this, so it's really exciting for us, and it's brought us closer for sure.
All 4 will compete in their age categories and weight limits, and they will have their own personal cheering squad. Omar, who's only 13, wants to bring home gold. He knows that won't be an easy feat.
It's just all the weight on your body. You have to pick it up, and all the weight just goes on your body at one time, and then you have to go all the way down, and then come all the way up.
The Powerlifting Union National Championships is the biggest competition any of the Lees have ever competed in. But it's here, in this small basement gym, where they really shine.
I think we just encourage each other, and we see each other getting better, and we just really support each other. So
it feels really good to have a whole family of powerlifting and stuff, and we're just really strong together.
Colleen Connors, CBC News, Stephenville.
Well, we've had a fairly quiet day for some areas. Here in the metro area, a little bit of everything. Some sunshine, some showers, some flurries today. But we've definitely got a ridge of high pressure keeping some colder air to the west. And then our next area of low pressure to the south, already prompting a special weather statement for the Avalon. Basically, over the next 24 hours, you can expect some onshore flurries, quiet tomorrow, but that weather maker potentially Friday. I'll break it all down for you coming up.
Well, a small business based in Newfoundland is getting government support to help with its exporting goals across Canada. We featured the Oat Company late last year. It produces plant-based bars and granola.
When we see our product resonating with people in Kamloops, in Calgary, and everywhere in between, it gives you hope that, well, maybe, you know, this little tiny business in downtown St. John's can grow even further.
Well, that's company founder Patrick Griffin speaking to us about his expansion hopes. And now Griffin will receive just under $60,000 from government to market his products outside of this province. That's where more than 60% of his revenue now comes from, according to a government release. Griffin started the oat company in 2019 and has been selling his products in provincial grocery stores. Well, February is Black History Month. It's celebrated in many countries around the world, but one St. John's resident says he first learned about it after moving to Canada from Nigeria. He spoke with the CBC's Signal show earlier today.
I think my story is very similar to everyone here that grew up in Nigeria. We were not identified as Blacks. We were just identified as Nigerians, and we had different cultures, we had different tribes, and but race was not the identifier back home. But when we moved to North America, it became, we got profiled into, the big B, like you said. And when I was asked to speak on Black excellence, I didn't have a lot of, knowledge about what the contributions were in North America. I was aware of the contributions back in Nigeria because my parents and probably everyone here as well they were not born into a free country.
Yeah,
it wasn't until 1960 before Nigeria became an independent country, and so there was always a celebration on October 1st every year. And growing up as a kid back home, I always remember we had to go to a place called Eagle Square.
Yeah,
it's in Abuja, and we always had like a military parade where we would march and sing, songs of freedom, and so. The history for me was more about the Nigerian independence and how we gained our independence. And coming to North America, it became a bigger celebration of Black History Month. And so the Black History Month become something more global, which incorporates Africans in diaspora and those back in Africa. And I always have to tell people that Africa is not a country.
It's not the
country
country of Africa.
It's a continent, and it doesn't only include Nigeria. It includes other 54 countries, different languages, different types of food. It's the languages, the way of life, the way they dress, the names. They all represent something that is really, rooted in culture. When I was asked to speak on Black excellence, I had to change my understanding of excellence because we Black were not introduced to the world as free people. The introduction was done for us as slaves. And so there's this connotation around Black History Month means celebration of slavery, but there's more to that. Those who left Africa, who left the continent, yes, they came as slaves, but they were also innovators. And I think that was what I was trying to capture in that post, to say, yes, they were slaves, but they were also innovators, and these were the other things that they did while they were in the continent. And I don't think that's captured in books and in articles. And so speaking to that part of the contributions was what I was that was my line of thought when I was writing that.
Well, in sports news, Caitlin Osmond is being inducted into the Skate Canada Hall of Fame. The Marystown figure skater was the women's world champion in 2018. She won an Olympic bronze that same year and a world championship silver medal in 2017. Osmond also won gold in the team event at the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang, South Korea. We'll have a look at these artworks created by students across the province. They're finalists in this year's Heritage Places Poster Contest, an annual event organized by Heritage NL. 9 students won awards for different grade levels in different regions. They were selected out of over 1,000 submissions from all over Newfoundland and Labrador. The overall winner was this submission by Marielle Sanchez, a senior high school student from CBS.
So here's what we've gathered from talking to local residents.
I spoke with a renter who's facing eviction this fall.
It is not for the weak of stomachs.
What does it mean for you to be able to give that advice and to know that you've helped? Don't look down.
If this is something that you didn't know about, let me tell you.
Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
St. John's.
Corner Brook.
Shaji, Innu First Nation.
Grand Falls, Windsor.
New West Valley, Newfoundland and Labrador.
Ashley, it was a bit of a mixed bag out there today.
Yeah, here in the metro area, we saw some sunshine at one point. It felt like spring, and then we saw some flurries and showers. Yeah, there's a little bit of everything. Let's take a look at what's happening right now. Because of that precipitation earlier today, those roads are a little wet at the moment. Our temperature is sitting around 1 degree right now, but as we head through the next couple of hours, those temperatures are going to head below zero. So that means that all those wet surfaces out there will likely get pretty slippery if they are not treated. So throw some salt down when you head outside. Other than that, we're just looking at a few flurries still certainly possible out there as we head through the night tonight. The rest of the island, with the exception of eastern Newfoundland, is actually sitting below zero. Gander at -3 right now. A bit of a wind chill out there as well. Feels more like -10 in Twillingate. And temperatures up across Labrador still well above where you should be sitting this time of year. Typically, you should be sitting into the minus single digits or even minus double digits for parts of the Big Land. But right now, -3 in Happy Valley Goose Bay. So a little cooler certainly than it was yesterday. And if we take a look at the satellite and radar, there really isn't a whole lot happening right now. Just some few flurries happening for the Avalon right now. And like I said, we'll maybe see that over the next little bit as we head through tonight. Now, as far as what's going to happen weather-wise through the overnight tonight, generally looking at the potential for onshore flurries for the West Coast, really nothing too significant. You may pick up a couple of centimeters in some of those flurries, but other than that, the weather will be fairly quiet. Now, don't be surprised by the time we get into tomorrow morning to see some cloud cover and maybe a few flurries in the mix across parts of the island, but that's about it. Labrador is actually going to be pretty beautiful through the day tomorrow, just a mix of sun and cloud as we head into the afternoon and evening hours. But then watching the next weather maker as we head through Friday, going to move in and pass east of us at this point. It looks like the track, but there are some models that are pointing at us seeing some snow. So Environment Canada has a special weather statement in effect for that time frame. This will be through Friday. Now, this is just for the Avalon at the moment. We'll likely see some snow outside of this, but this is where we will see the most significant snow with this system. So let's time it out. Now, this is just one interpretation of what we're going to see as far as the snow goes. There is a little bit of discrepancy in the models on the timing, but for now, the best indications are showing that the snow will start for the southern Avalon by the time we get into tomorrow morning. That will quickly move north, and most of eastern Newfoundland, if this is the track of the system, may be in some snow. If we see that track a little bit further offshore, it'll pull that snow with it, which I mention every single time. So just keep that in mind for your Friday. But at this point, it looks like we could see some heavy snow for parts of the afternoon on Friday. That will linger into the evening potentially, and then eventually that will pull offshore by the time we get to the midnight hour. Now, there are, the potential to see some of this snow fairly heavy at times through the afternoon, along with some gusty winds, generally out of the north and then eventually the northwest as we head into the evening hours. But we could see gusts as high as 60 to as much as 80 kilometers per hour before we see that snow end overnight and into early Saturday morning. At this point, leaving Saturday pretty beautiful. So going to keep an eye on that forecast. If you have any travel plans, there could be, like I said, some changing in the timing and potentially the snowfall amounts right now looking somewhere on the Avalon between 10 to as much as 20 centimeters of snow. But again, it will completely depend on the track. Temperatures tonight are going to dip minus single digits. Labrador coldest in Lab West at about minus 17. And then taking a look at the temperatures again tomorrow, we should sit above zero for most of eastern Newfoundland. Otherwise, there or a little bit below as you head towards the west with winds between 40 to 50 kilometers per hour. Labrador quiet. You're looking at some sunshine, and again, those above seasonable temperatures sticking around in the minus single digits through the day. And your northwest winds will be gusting somewhere between 20 to 40 kilometers per hour. So we'll talk about the long range forecast when I come back a little later.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, when some of our colleagues recently visited Nain for some training, they ended up getting stuck. Weather delays meant that for 5 days, no flights got in or out, leaving the local hotel packed with overdue guests. But nobody was farther from home than the hotel staff themselves, which is made up of new Canadians from faraway places like India and Afghanistan. The CBC Zach Audi captured this memorable experience.
I'll say that it is very different than Toronto. In Toronto, the life is like so fast. Everyone is running. You gotta be on time. People are pushing. You are always looking the weather. When is the next train? Here, life is like so slow, so slow. Like here, you can literally come in like 5 minutes early. You can go 5 minutes late. You know, it's so flexible. Like today, there are no flights, so I know there are no check-ins and check-outs. If I want, I can like come in little early, I can go a little late. Here, like, I'll say that there is so much peace of mind, you know. Like, I work for 8 hours, but the remaining hours, I'm like literally free.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You're in.
Yep. Today's like day 5.
Each day I've been looking at the trees and just see how they, like, because they're swinging or whatever, where we have the wind is, but they look better today.
He said that we're not leaving here today. He said it's supposed to be 80, gusting 80. He said, I'm confirmed for tomorrow anyway.
My name is Pushpinder Bihal. I work here as front desk and the office admin here at the Atsanik Hotel, and I've been working here for almost 5 years now. Majority of the guests are essential workers, you know, like the doctors, dentists, judges, lawyers, hydro people, or bell technicians and all that. But once in a blue moon, we get like some tourists or some CBC people and all that, because if anyone comes to Nain, this is the only place where they can stay. You know, there's a thing about Nain. They say that you are never too sure when you'll come and when you'll leave Nain. So there are some people who wanted to leave on Tuesday, and I think it's Sunday now, and they are stuck here for like 4 or 5 days because of high winds. We actually had a big NG meeting here, and they were supposed to leave on, I think, Wednesday or something, and they had 22 rooms booked. They were supposed to check out on Wednesday, and it's Sunday, and they literally just keep on postponing their checkout date. But they are lucky that we have rooms available. You know, the good thing about Nain is that if you can't go out, no one can make it in, right?
Hi, my name is Jill Williams, and I'm in Nain, Nunatsiavut. We came up on Monday with a big hope of leaving on Friday, but who cares about being weather held when you're in Nain? Yesterday was my daughter's 15th birthday. Yeah. So that was a sad day. I cried a little bit and made people uncomfortable while I was down here sewing, but that's okay. I'm over it now, and we're all happy now, right?
I was originally supposed to return on Wednesday, and today is Sunday. I'm fine with that. I'm a true Labrador woman, true to the core. However, my husband is having a very difficult time right now, feeding himself on cans of vegetable soup and crackers because I'm not home to cook some food for him.
I mean, I won't even say it's a bad thing. Sometimes, you just gotta experience it. You're not gonna experience this in anywhere else. You get more time to spend with the community and all. You get to learn so many things and everything. I'll say it's a nice experience.
Wow, there's about 3,000 people here. A lot of people now. There's a whole mix of people here now. There's a lot of foreigners for work. There's a lot of other people for work too. There's a lot of regulars like us just doing regular jobs.
Good afternoon, just one sec, I'll have a look. Originally, I'm from India, but I came to Canada in 2018. I actually landed in Toronto and I went to Scarborough. It's a small town near Toronto. But the thing is, when I graduated, it was 2020 and COVID was around. Earlier, everyone was saying that it's only gonna be a few week thing, then it was few months. And eventually I was like, man, I gotta find some job. And because of COVID, the whole country was shut. So this was the only place hiring. Originally, I was supposed to go to the hotel in Hopedale, but I got a call from the owner that, would you mind going to Nain instead? And I was like, doesn't matter to me. I'm coming from Scarborough, Nain, Hopedale, I don't even know the difference, right? And the crazy thing is that right now the temperature is something like -40 or something. Before coming to Canada, I went to a place in India where the temperatures can go north of 50 degrees, right? And here is -40. So literally I've seen like a 90-degree swing, in my life, and I'm like, how many people can even claim it? We have one chef and her wife. They are from Ukraine. And we have one more person who is also a chef. He's from South India. There is a state called Telangana. They are from there. And there's one more bro. We are so close that I don't even call him friend. I call him my bro. And he's from Punjab. I'm from Punjab as well, right?
Nain is primarily an Inuit community, and you guys here have a group of people who are all from different corners of the world joining their community. What's that like for you guys?
I'll say it's been a great learning experience, because I feel like if I wasn't in Nain, I would have missed so many things. I don't think anywhere else I'll get to try ice fishing, char, I don't think anywhere else I can see polar bears, or I can go out on land on a skidoo or something. I mean, it's so good. Sometimes I feel like, isn't this the way of life? Isn't this how you should live your life? What are we even doing in Toronto? Going to work and spending hours in traffic. Isn't this how we should live our life?
Are we going?
Yeah.
Is everyone out?
Yeah. Hope for the best. We are getting the flights.
You got the call, did you? You all got the call, I guess, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, we're heading around home now, boy. I'm going to cook a bit of jigs dinner tonight when I get home. Apparently the weather has changed and all the flights are on a go. I was looking forward to my 6th day here. It didn't matter to me, but I think a lot of people are looking forward to getting back and doing the things that they need to do. But we had a grand time, right?
I think the flights are moving now after 5 days of weather hold or something. Everyone is excited. When are we leaving? When are we leaving? I'm so overwhelmed with all the checkouts and everything. I'm just trying to make sure everyone leaves on time, everyone has a ride and everything. I mean, it's almost like Christmas here, believe me.
Thank you.
Good to go. Good to you.
See ya. Bye. Have a nice flight. Thanks. See ya.
To be honest, I'm really sad that you guys are leaving, but at the same time, that's life. I'm looking forward to new people, maybe make new memories with them. I feel like I'm actually making a difference here, giving people a good experience here. They are experiencing Nain, this remote community and all. I mean, I feel good. I'm making a difference. At least I feel like it.
The miners are family, and they have to take care of each other.
It's truly an honor as a Newfoundlander to be able to go out there and bring back a representation of all the Newfoundlanders that weren't able to come back.
Love the world around you because it does shimmer with the impossible sometimes made possible.
All of the temporary residency visas granted to Ukrainians fleeing the war are set to expire next month. So what does that mean for the Ukrainian population in this province who are taking refuge? Joining me now is Immigration Minister Sarah Studley. So these visas expire March 31st. What should Ukrainians in this province know about the situation and what they should do?
So it's a really tricky situation. We thought that the federal government would extend the visas. These are the QIT visas that the Ukrainians were given, and we still hope that they do that. There's still time, so please, federal government, extend those visas. We think 3 years is very reasonable. So if you are in a precarious situation, not sure about the status of your visas or what's happening to you, please feel free to reach out to our team, immigration@gov.nl.ca. So it's a bit layered and complicated. So of the 4,300 Ukrainians who have settled in Newfoundland and Labrador, and they've settled across the province, so far we've nominated 1,700 of those through our provincial nomination program, our economic immigration program. So they should be fine and settled away. The challenge is the rest. And this is a problem across Canada. So individuals who came here on this Q-Ed visa, it was kind of a first of its kind open work visa, the Ukrainians. That visa expires at the end of the month, at the end of March. And they have very limited options if the federal government does not extend that visa. It's going to be extremely tricky. To make things slightly trickier is that many of the individuals from Ukraine have had Ukrainian government documents expire since they've come to Canada.
Like passports?
Passports, yeah. So the Ukrainian passport might expire, or they might have a passport that is valid today, might expire in a month or 2 or 6 months.
I would imagine it would be very difficult to get that renewed.
Absolutely. So that's part of the challenge, is that in what we've seen across the country is that many Ukrainians have had extremely difficult time getting their Ukrainian government documents, like their passport, renewed or issued. And currently the government of Canada requires you to have valid documents from your home country in order to process your visas. So even for us to nominate them in our provincial nomination program through our economic immigration streams, you still need valid government documents from your home country. So really we're pleading with the federal government on twofold. Firstly, they really need to extend that visa. They need to extend the Q-Ed visa 3 years or 2 years, we'll take whatever we can get. But also I think they really need to think about a pathway for allowing Ukrainians in Canada who we opened our arms to say, come to Newfoundland and Labrador, come to Canada.
We sent a delegation over to Poland to try to attract them to come here.
Exactly, yeah. So we opened our arms, and so many of them are in situations now where they don't have up-to-date Ukrainian documents, and the federal government has ways of dealing with that. They do that for refugees, for example, and so I really call on the federal government to create a pathway for the Ukrainians who have been unable to get their documents sorted out, no fault of their own, to allow them some kind of leeway or temporary status, because we don't want to see these people have to leave the country. We don't want them to see them having to go undocumented. We want them to stay, and I know it's a tricky from an international politics perspective, but we really love them, and in Newfoundland and Labrador I feel like they've become part of our community.
Can you talk a little bit more about why we want them to stay? Immigration is something that we want in this province with our rapidly aging population, dwindling workforce. We want to take everyone that we can get. And we also had our economic immigrant quota, I guess you could call it, slashed recently. Can you talk more about that and where this province is with our own immigration policy and why we want more immigrants to be here?
Absolutely. So we have a declining birth rate in Newfoundland and Labrador. I'm just having one kid, I'm not having any more. Because we have such a declining birth rate, we need to bring in more people to help our economy to work, to be the workforce in the next 20, 30, 40 years. Like when my 4-year-old starts work, or he needs to go to the hospital, there needs to be a doctor or a nurse or someone there working to help him. When that generation gets to be seniors, we need a tax base in Newfoundland and Labrador to pay for the long-term care and the economy in 40, 50 years. So it's not sustainable as a province to have such a declining birth rate. I think key economic immigration has been really successful in Newfoundland and Labrador. We've had many consecutive quarters of growth. And I think the Ukrainians in particular have really settled here, and we have a big Ukrainian community. If we look at the retention rate of our newcomers, because I think it's cheaper and easier to retain someone who's already here than to attract and bring someone new. So the retention rate of the Ukrainian newcomers in Newfoundland and Labrador is 82%. So of the people who've come here, have moved here, 82% are still here, which is incredible. They haven't just gone to Toronto. As a government, we made a big splash of there was a plane that came over, as everyone saw, and I think they've become a very important part of Newfoundland and Labrador, and we really want them to stay.
Well, Minister Sarah Studley, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much.
Look at that one over there.
Is this good?
Yeah, a little bit more. That felt good.
Therapeutic almost.
There's a wrestling ring down there. What's that about?
This is wild.
All right, time for a look at the long-range forecast. And Friday is being a bit problematic in terms of trying to figure out what's going to happen.
Yeah, there's a bit of discrepancy on the timing and a little bit of discrepancy on how much snow falls. But we're certainly going to see something on Friday. Let's take a look at what's going on out there as we head through the evening hours on Thursday and into Friday. So we should see that system start to bring some snow by the time we get into tomorrow morning, and then, or rather Friday morning. And then into the afternoon and evening. At this point, looking like we're going to see some snow, which could be heavy at times, particularly for the Avalon. But again, depending on the track, will determine who sees snow and whether we see that snow head towards central and how far west we see that snowfall. So at this point, the heaviest snow will fall across the Avalon, but we could see, 5 to 10 centimeters just fall just outside of the Avalon as well. That will be the story through the evening hours at this point, and then eventually the snow will taper off once we get past midnight. So temperatures through the day on Friday will sit into the minus single digits for pretty much across the entire province, with the exception of Lab City, where you will sit around minus 11. And just a few flurries possible for you in Lab West, and potentially even a few flurries as you head towards the west coast as well. Now, like I said, through the overnight, that will taper off. The snow will taper off, leading to an actually really decent Saturday morning. It looks like at this point, we may see the cloud cover linger a little longer and maybe a few flurries along the northeast coast. But overall, what snow does fall, we should be able to enjoy on Saturday or clean up on Saturday for the east. Temperatures will be much colder on the backside of this system. By much colder, I mean dropping a few degrees below zero into the minus single digits right across the board. Again, same thing for Labrador. And then temperatures for northern Labrador as well as the western portion of the Big Land will sit between minus 10 and minus 12 through your day, through your afternoon. So long range forecast as we get into Sunday. We will likely see some sunshine, and then Monday hovering around the 0 degree mark with the potential for some flurries again through the afternoon. And then for Central, you're looking at a fairly nice stretch of weather, both Saturday and Sunday looking like sunshine and temperatures in the minus single digits. Beautiful to get out and enjoy the winter weather. And then for Western Newfoundland, you're looking at some flurries. So we've been seeing a little bit of a break, and you may see some more flurries as we head into Sunday, but overall quiet weather. Eastern Labrador, beautiful stretch of weather with temperatures in the minus single digits, and then a few flurries possible for Western Labrador as we head into the beginning of next week. Our weather photo today taken in Mount Pearl.
Ah, my hometown.
Yeah, great photo. Look at this. Can you believe this?
No way.
Yep, this is real too. Snowdrop flowers pushing up already, obviously in a bed that is not in the ground. But yeah, Daryl shared that shot with us. Thank you so much for that. If you have any weather photos, send them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, I love that. Just
spring.
Any sign of spring.
Right?
It's just, I'll take it.
And winter just started, really.
I know, right?
But it hasn't stopped.
No, it came in hard and fast
That's
when it came in, but that's so nice to see. Thank you so much for that hopeful shot there.
That's
I really
right.
appreciate it. Okay, well, that's it for us. Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with us.
Good night.